deals, but late last evening, this comes as the biggest breakthrough in the recent US-India relations. And it shows how friendship can even cut through the thickest ice. Now, after late-night phone conversation with Prime Minister Modi, US President Donald Trump announced that India and the US have agreed for a trade deal, and the US now will cut the existing tariffs to 18%. Trump says that he has lowered the reciprocal tariffs after discussion with Prime Minister Modi, calling it as a gesture of friendship and respect. The 50% tariff has now been reduced to 18%. Now, the deal comes after several months of intense negotiations, during which Trump administration imposed a steep 50% tariff on Indian exports to the US. Notably, 25% of these tariffs targeted India's crude oil trade with Russia, which the US claimed was indirectly financing Russia's war against Ukraine. Now, President Trump has described Prime Minister Modi as one of his closest friends and a powerful, respectful leader. And he has highlighted that their discussions covered a range of issues, including trade and efforts that end war between Russia and Ukraine. So out of friendship and mutual respect, Trump says that they have reached for a breakthrough as far as this trade deal is concerned. And he has emphasized that he and Prime Minister Modi are the doers, the leaders who get things done. Now, in response, the Prime Minister has also expressed his delight that Made in India products will now face a reduced 18% tariff in the US, extending his heartfelt thanks to the President for this significant announcement. So let's get connected as our reporters on ground. Rishabh is with us right now. Rishabh, good morning. Patikrit is also connected with us, when we also have Anand Dahuja, attorney at law and co-founder of the Indian Americans for Trump, joining us here on the broadcast. Thank you very much, sir, for taking out your time. Rishabh, first question to you, because this, as far as announcement is also concerned, because we knew that the negotiations were on, but they were taking a lot of time. Now, as far as when it comes to the talks, were they slacking? But, the trade deal that has now come across, how does it significantly boost when it comes to the already strained relationship between India and the US?
Well, Amita, India-US trade deal was so complicated that I'm only quoting the people who have spoken to us. Let's start with Sajio Gaur. Sajio Gaur, yesterday, while speaking to Group Editor-in-Chief Navika Kumar for Times Network, very categorically said that India-US deal is a different deal. It is two big economies coming together, and one should not look at a smaller economy in the region as well. This is his words, which means that US also understands that this delay that happened was because there were a lot of things to trade about. India do not trade just one commodity or one sector with US. From pharma to cars, from metal to rare earth elements, from IT to AI, from services to hardware. Everything is traded between Washington and New Delhi, and that is the reason that it took this much time. This is what many within the system who know how things were moving say. But if we look at how things move forward, 20th January 2025, Donald Trump takes over the second presidency. February, we see Prime Minister Narendra Modi visiting US, meeting Donald Trump. There, we discuss various things. From there on, a deadline of fall was decided for a BTA, bilateral trade agreement, which both sides said would be mutually beneficial.
Right.
Things started going on. Operation Sindoor happened, Pahalgam happened, Operation Sindoor happened, and things started getting complicated. There were a lot of things, Russian oil, or for that matter, nuclear armament, and everything and that we saw.
Has been quite vocal as far as his criticism is concerned when it comes to India-Russian, oil purchase is concerned. But he has maintained, as far as his friendship with Prime Minister Narendra Modi is concerned, and he is often seen praising the Prime Minister. But the 50% US levy that has included a 25% reciprocal tariff and an additional 25% import duty that was imposed over India's purchase of Russian crude oil. Now, with this new deal, Washington has removed the extra penalty and has now lowered the overall rate. Now, in the meantime, let's get you a breaking update what we are learning from the US Chamber of Commerce, saying that we congratulate US and Indian governments on their announcement to reduce tariffs and non-tariff barriers that will benefit American and Indian companies, workers in both great nations. And we appreciate the efforts of President Trump and Prime Minister Modi and their officials, including Ambassadors Kwatra and Gore. And we are also optimistic that this is the first step towards a comprehensive trade agreement that will unlock even more private sector collaboration. And we look forward to reviewing the details of the deal. So this is the chamber as far as the US-India Business Council is concerned, and who are the strong champions of effort as they are looking forward to partnering with both governments and to implement the announcement that has been made. So, Mr. Ahuja, what is your sense that you are picking up as far as with this trade deal that has been inked recently with the US, UK and the European Union? The global trade map seems to have tilted now in India's favor.
If you really look into my earlier various statements, I have been saying right from the beginning that with trade deal between USA and India, both the countries are going to get benefit. I have been also saying that the more time they are taking, it's not in the interest of either country. So sooner they do it, better it is. Now, the question is, a lot of people, they are saying that it has taken too much time. I say that as compared to India's trade deal with European Union, it took 20 years. As compared to that, if you see that the time taken between India and United States trade deal is very, very less. It's only 2 years. That also, as one of your panelists just mentioned, if you see the items being traded between United States and India, if I'm not mistaken, probably there are more than 5,000 items that are being exchanged between India and United States through the mutual trade. So it was very comprehensive. It was not that easy. And if somebody was expecting that India-USA trade deal to take place within 2 months, I used to say at that time also, probably they are not living in a realistic world. So right now, if you see, both countries are going to get a lot of benefits. And as far as the mutual respect of Trump and Modi is concerned, even during that particular so-called strained period, what you say, the respect was still there. If you see that the two aspects, as far as USA-India defense activities were concerned or agreement was concerned, or as far as mutual respect for each other between both these leaders is concerned, that was always there. So, as rightly everybody is saying,
yes,
kudos to the trade team of India and kudos to the trade team of United States, that they have now at least reached to this particular agreement.
At a time,
and
as it was being projected that there are some issues as far as when it comes to this trade deal is concerned, a lot of rounds of negotiations that have been taking place. But this announcement that has been made first by President Trump and has been also welcomed by Prime Minister Modi, this trade deal also opens a lot of opportunities for make in India for the world, design in India for the world, and innovate in India for the world. And this now deal is expected to create more jobs for growth and promote innovation in both the economies. So please, as far as when it comes to these exclusive conversations are concerned, because the union budget has just been presented and the FTA between India and EU has also been recently signed, this was this exclusive conversation that our group editor-in-chief, Navika Kumar, also had as far as when it comes to the leaders who are now concerned. The US ambassador of India for India, Sergio Gore, who seems to have played the role of a catalyst, has been congratulating both Prime Minister Modi and President Trump on this historic trade agreement. And he's expressed optimism about the future of India-US relations and has confirmed that both leaders are expected to meet very soon.
The question on everybody's mind is what happens to the penalty tariff. Would you have details of some of those announcements, and when can we expect the details of the trade deal to be put out?
Hi, Navika. Good to hear from you tonight. The final number will be 18. And so the final number all in, once, there's a few things that will happen over the next few days, but overall the final number will be 18. The bottom line is the secondary tariffs that were the 25% applied based on purchases of Russian oil. It's a reason the president applied those across multiple nations. And the reason being is because we want to bring peace to Ukraine and Russia. And so that is something the Prime Minister agrees with. The Prime Minister cares about peace also. And so overall, we have seen a reduction in oil by India, which is a great thing. It's nothing personal, but it's one of those things we do not believe that we should be funding wars. So overall, the number will be 18.
I also want to ask you, there was a conversation between President Trump and Prime Minister Modi this evening. Can you give us a few more details of the contours of that conversation?
Yes, look, it was a very warm conversation. It lasted, I would say, close to half an hour. It's when two friends catch up, it's very easy to talk to each other. And the relationship between the two leaders is very warm. They consider each other friends. The Prime Minister once again invited him to visit India. The President recalled his warm memories of the events both in India during his last visit and the Prime Minister's trip to the United States when they organized the Howdy Modi rally. And so it's a very warm relationship. It was a call between two great friends.
All right. Patikrit, what is your observation as far as the statement that came in from both of the leaders there? Because there, as far as when it comes to purchase of Russian crude oil, seems to be a mention that President Trump seems to be making in his statement what he believes that India has agreed to do. As far as Prime Minister Modi is concerned, he's welcomed the trade deal and he's welcomed the Make in India initiative as far as when it comes to how this new trade deal will create more jobs and will also spur a lot of growth and innovation in both the economies. What is the difference that you believe that is now coming in and across the statements?
Well, first of all, we must congratulate both Government of India and United States for this very, very historic trade deal. And a lot of credit goes invariably to Government of India for the kind of resilience it has shown during those difficult times when there was tremendous pressure. A lot of comments were made about Government of India, unfortunate comments which came from United States, from officials. But I think all of that is history. And we are looking forward to a very, very bright days for both the countries so far as mutual trade is concerned. Look, so far as the issue of Indo-Russia ties are concerned, I think India still maintains its strategic autonomy. Yes, we do witness that there has been certain reduction when it comes to procurement of oil from Russia, but it still is around 1 million barrel a day. I don't think India has been buying oil purely for the purpose of supporting Russia in the Ukraine war. It is about price, issues also. So if there are better deals you get somewhere else, India will procure it. That has been said all the time. But at the same time, the relationship with Russia is not something India is going to compromise on. Secondly, there were certain guardrails that India has put up, that India would not open up the dairy, fisheries, agriculture, and the poultry sector. That I think India has not compromised with. So I think, there was maturity eventually shown by the government of United States also, that India being a country where there's a disproportionately high number of people involved in these agricultural activities, opening up to the imports will have challenges. India is also very resistant to genetically modified food or dairy products from United States where non-veg food items are used.
With this 18% tariff being, it certainly does place India in a reasonably good position against competitors in terms of accessing when it comes to the American bracket. But, the fine print of the deal would really hold the key how favorable it is from New Delhi's perspective. But when now we come to the political aspect to it, because as far as when it comes to the naysayers are concerned, or those who used to talk about the dead economy ecosystem, well, it seems that they have a problem with this current trade deal announcement as well. The Congress party, however, dismissing the historic trade deal, calling it as insignificant. And as far as the leaders of the Congress party is concerned, they seem to be talking about that all of these announcements are being first made by President Trump. And this seems to be, according to the Congress, giving a certain leverage over Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Now, as far as the Truth Social post is concerned of President Trump, where he seems to be talking about his conversation that he had with Prime Minister Modi, Ambassador Gore said that it lasted for nearly half an hour. And to this, Kerala Congress has reacted saying that Narendra Modi surrendered India's sovereignty to the United States to keep his friend and himself out of jail. This is the lowest moment for the country and complete surrender without even fighting. So the Narendra surrender jibe seems to be coming back. Well, Nyamika, that seems to be the issue. When the talks were happening as far as the trade deal is concerned, the issues that they wanted that India and the US side actually, come to terms with, that time also Congress had a problem. Now this trade deal announcement that has been made and both leaders and both nations have been welcoming it, they again seem to have a problem with it.
Amita, there are two concerns which are being raised by the Congress party. One is that why this announcement was first being made by the US President Donald Trump And second, that what are the details of this trade deal which has been done between India and the United States? We have seen that Jairam Ramesh, Manish Tiwari and the other Congress leaders have reacted over this entire matter, in which Jairam Ramesh has listed out the incidents when it was President Donald Trump who has made certain announcements, whether it is about Operation Sindoor or India's decision of buying oil from Venezuela rather than Russia, and now the way in which this trade deal has been signed, it is basically a dig which is being taken by the Congress General Secretary Jairam Ramesh over Prime Minister Narendra Modi by stating that that it seems like this is not going to be the father of all the deals. We have seen that
That is
Prime
being
Minister
touted on part of the Congress party with this deal announcement, saying that it is another instant of Prime Minister Narendra Modi capitulating on international stage, insisting that this cannot be the father of all deals, as far as leaders from the Congress and Kerala Congress have now put out their post. But as far as the union ministers who have come out to welcome this deal and wholeheartedly are now approving as far as when it comes to this improvement in India-US ties are also concerned, here is what Amit Shah has to say as far as a trade deal, which he believes would elevate the strategic partnership that India has with the United States of America. So just putting out his post here, where the Union Home Minister says that it's a big day for India-US relations as the trade deal has been locked with a significantly reduced tariffs of 18%, paving way for stronger trade ties and mutual growth. I congratulate Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Trump for this historic deal, which will elevate our strategic partnership and will greatly benefit both nations and their people. Businesses between India and US will now flourish further. So this seems to be, as far as the welcome step that we're looking at, several of the union ministers and leaders there who have congratulated Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his team for the efforts that have now been put in as far as bringing this deal and coming together with a lot of negotiations and talks that have been taking place over the last several months. However, the opposition continues to question. Let's also break another TMC MP that we are looking at, who seems to be now taking a dig at the Prime Minister and slamming the government over the trade deal and questioning as far as why, again, that it has been the United States and President Trump who seems to have made this announcement first. So the timing of all is now being questioned on part of the TMC leadership, saying that Modi ji has undoubtedly given many firsts to India, learning from Trump's account about how India will not buy Russian oil, details of US-India trade deal before any Indian announcement is certainly a first. So this seems to be over the timing as far as the announcements that have been made, of course referring to previous Operation Sindoor and how a ceasefire was announced between India and Pakistan. And to this level, as far as the trade deal that has now been announced, Mr. Ahuja, you will see as far as the politics back home seems to be now, the questioning over the timing that has now been done, the diplomatic communication that has now been concerned. Do you believe that the entire issue is now being linked to a broader foreign policy and trade dynamics, which the opposition always seems to question the government over this?
No, first of all, honestly speaking, I personally believe in this whole deal, probably India ended up getting a better deal. So that's my observation. We have yet to look into the language, we have to yet to look into the fine prints. But overall, if you ask me, probably India ended up getting a much better deal. If you see that India's now trade tariff is 18% as compared to Pakistan, 19%, or as compared to China, 30 to 35%. So India ended up getting. Secondly, I see it from a geopolitical point of view also. USA probably needed India now more, considering the fact that what's going on in Iran. And maybe USA has now realized that with respect to Iran conflict, it cannot rely upon Pakistan. So I personally believe that geopolitical point of view, probably USA needed India more at this time than probably India was, considering again the fact that India recently signed a trade deal with the European Union. So I do not know to what extent India was desperate to have this deal done today. Probably USA was more interested. So blaming Prime Minister Modi, that Modi has surrendered, I personally believe that Modi probably has
expressing disappointment as far as the FTA that was signed between India and EU. But however, this is coming across as a big announcement. But because you mentioned Pakistan, Mr. Ahuja, let me take that question to Pathikrit. All of that bootlegging did work for Pakistan, isn't it, Pathikrit?
No, Amita, let's understand one thing. There is a huge difference between what the Wall Street wants so far as India's economy is concerned and what the strategic imperatives of United States is concerned. Yes, it is a very big victory for government of India and Prime Minister Modi. He has shown tremendous resilience. But let's understand, United States foreign policy is not going to change because of this. While they will continue to have strong economic relation with India, the establishment in United States will still continue to support Pakistan because it helps them in certain or the other way to have a strategic leverage in the region and to have a containment policy for India. So I think the geopolitical tension between India and United States is not going to go away because of this trade deal. Trade deal actually helps in soothing out a lot of issues.
I believe
and
Mr.
it is
Ahuja doesn't seem to be agreeing to your point there, but I would request you to please hold on to your point because I have to head into a very short break. But we are going to be focusing also what the opposition's criticism has been, because that has been mainly focused on the sequence of disclosures, arguing that significant developments involving India were being made public by the US side before any formal communication that came in from New Delhi. But what's in store for India? We'll be getting you the details back after a very short break. Our guests continue to be with us.